Welcome to the No Love Podcast, where we decrease tomorrow's divorce rate today by teaching singles and couples alike how to experience love on purpose and not by chance. I am your host, Edward L. Fairley, the one who loves to serve you food for thought, accompanied by my wonderful co-host, Mrs. Charlene, the one who loves to serve food from her food truck. We decided to take our two contrasting worlds and bring them together to serve you love from a podcast. Mrs. Charlene, are you ready to serve the people?
Yes, sir, I am. Are you?
I'm always ready. Ready.
Excellent. Now listen, brother. Today, I even lit up a clove for this, a mini cigar. I got a topic for you. I really want to know what your thoughts are.
All right.
Are you ready? Is the question.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So I stay ready.
I like that. So listen, I'm going to tell you the question right now. The question is, how does one communicate when the blood is boiling? That's the question. I want to bury that. Here's what happened. This is a me story, and what happened this morning in my life. Uh, I need to be able to set the stage. Let me set the stage. I have two dominant dog breeds. Now, when some people hear dominant dogs, what they hear is big dogs. I want to clarify this. Big dog doesn't mean dominant dogs. I have dominant dog breeds who also happen to be big dogs. I will also share with you that I have a morning routine, a very specific morning routine that has not changed in at least 4 years. And this routine includes my dogs. It has to. So I get up, I do my things upstairs, I come downstairs, I let my dogs outside. Dominant breed dogs means that dominant breeds want to be in your space, literally in your face. Again, it doesn't mean big or small dog. Dominant breeds they don't have the language for personal
Okay.
boundaries. I said that to share this. When I come downstairs, it's the same thing every day. They get to run outside. I live in a rural environment. I open up the door, they run outside. I have a very large fenced in yard for these dogs. In addition to that, I also happen to have a renter. The renter lives in the apartment that is on our property. His name is Ryan, and he lives there with his wife named Sarah. They have a cat. That cat is supposed to be an indoor cat. What happened this morning is I opened the door and let my dogs outside, and it turns out that cat, her name is Gunpowder, is in the dog yard. Uh, since I said dominant breed, I have to make this clear too. This is the dog yard. This is not my land anymore. You get two dominant breeds, this is their territory. They don't have the language. My dogs do not have the language with understanding that if mom or dad knows this neighbor pet, then we shouldn't pursue. That is not their language. Gunpowder got out from my renter, was in the dog yard, and here's what I saw, brother. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I said, but here's what I saw before I text them. What I saw was Gunpowder's death right before my eyes. My dogs, if they had gotten a hold of that cat, would have physically, it's violent, physically ripped that cat to shreds. They would have shared her, shaken her. She would have been skinned. It would have been awful. It would have been a horrible death for her. I saw this right before my eyes. I didn't know she was in the yard. So I text my renter, who actually is a very good friend of mine, but I was pissed. So here's what I said, brother. I start with, I'm a little ashamed to tell you this, but I'm going to share
I
this with you.
appreciate that.
I start with at 9:21 a.m. One of you better get your fucking cat out of my backyards before my dog kills her. My backyard before my dog kills her. And I am done with finding it cute that neither one of you can keep her indoors. Get rid of the cat or find another apartment if you can't figure out how to be responsible pet owners. And she's in a tree, by the way. Jack and Lily would have ripped her to pieces had they got her. I barely got them inside. I am not amused. I am pissed. Get your cat. So that's what I send to them. That is the first and only indication that Ryan and Sarah have of this situation. I came in hot.
Mm-hmm.
After that, Ryan sent something. He came here. We got the cat out of the tree. I got the dogs inside. My question for you with that stage set is honestly, brother, what could I have done in that situation? My blood was boiling. I saw that I'm an animal lover, even with cats. I saw her death in front of my eyes. But I am actually asking the relationship expert, the no love guy, what could I have done to communicate that in a better way?
That's a
Take it from here.
great question. Well, your initial question was, how do you? It was like, how do you communicate when
How do I communicate when
your
the
blood is
blood is
boiling?
boiling?
The answer to that, the
I
answer
was
to that is you
pissed.
don't. That's the simple answer.
Really? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't expect you to tell me that. Hold on. I really went into this today thinking you were going to be like, well, what you could have done and should have done. What? That's why I had the close today, where you were like, you could have been like more. I didn't expect to hear that from you because you don't seem to be like a guy that that reacts like that, like I
Yeah,
did.
that's the only reason why I don't seem like a guy that reacts like that is because when I'm hot, I don't communicate. I
Mm,
don't communicate. If
okay.
I'm hot, if I'm
Okay.
emotional, I don't communicate. I don't discipline my children. I don't do anything because I know what hot looks like for me. It, and it doesn't
Mm,
look good at all. But and this is I'm gonna say a couple things. The first thing that comes to my mind is you can walk backwards, but you can't walk words back. So you can
okay.
walk backwards, but you can't walk words back. Once you say it, once you text it, you cannot
It's out
reverse it.
there. What do you mean by walking backwards then? I think you're trying to get there.
No, 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 it's
I'm
fine.
charged. I'm emotionally
Yeah,
charged. You
so
ready?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can walk backwards. Look, I'm walking backwards.
Oh, physically.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, yeah. But okay,
but
I'm
you can't
tracking.
walk
Okay. Okay.
words back. So once it's out there,
Yeah.
that's why one thing you learn with me is I'm very intentional about my words. I take my time to figure out what it is that I'm going to say. Because of that statement right there, I cannot take the words that I use backwards. And based off of my foundational beliefs, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Now, the thing that we have
Wow.
this that in our minds is we think that love is an emotional thing, and that's why this is called intentionally no love. Love is not an emotional thing. It's packaged like it's emotional, but let's again, I'm gonna go back to my foundation. If love is patience, if love is kind, if love does not envy, if love does not boast, if love is not proud, these are not the opposite of those things are emotion. But you have to be in your mind to be patient. Have you ever been upset and became patient? Is that a default? Have you been upset or emotional and then became kind? No, these are things
Hmm.
that you have to actually think about, pause, and then do. No one that's in a traffic jam decides or emotionally says, I'm patient. Like you have to really be in a predicament that you typically would not be patient about and then decide to, you know what? I'm going to take this in. It could be a better this could be for my benefit, for my good. It takes thought to be loving. It's not a default setting. We think that it is because typically when we feel like we're in love, we gather all of the experiences around our conclusion and we said, "Oh, I feel loved." And we think it's a feeling because we took we still that's still a thought process. You had to take in the fact that he or she did this, he or she did that, he or she said this, he or she said that, and now I feel love. That's still a thinking process, but there's emotion tied to it. And we concluded that, oh, emotionally, love is an emotion. No, it's not, which is why people fall out of love
Hmm.
because they move past the emotion and now they're thinking about all of the stuff that they now have been thinking or saying about this person. And what's so interesting is, especially when it comes to sex or people not being interested in each other anymore, and they come to me, and this is literally my task. For the first week, I say, hey, for this whole week, what I want you to do is pay attention to your thoughts. What are you thinking about your husband or your spouse or your girlfriend or your man? And I guarantee you, especially when it's intimacy or sex, I guarantee you your thought processes are terrible. Oh my gosh, look at her. Look how she's looking. She doesn't even match her panties and her bra. She doesn't even do this or whatever. Look how her body has changed. You're thinking negative thoughts. And because of that, your eyes match your thoughts, which in turn cause your emotions to be whatever it is that they are. I'm not interested. I don't like her or whatever. Now, and I promise you I'm going somewhere with this.
I'm with you.
People typically say, in order to keep him or her, you got to do what you did when you first started, right?
I say that a lot. Yeah, I hear that all the time.
It's very surface level, but there's truth to it. But this is how you really do that. What happened is when you first got together, what you said when he or she came in the room was, "Dang, he looking sexy in that suit. Dang, she looking good," or whatever. That's what you said in your mind. You didn't say it out loud. You said it in your mind. And because of that, your eyes matched what you said in your mind. You didn't pay attention to it, but this is what was going on. Oh, I can't wait to see him or her. I love his voice. I love her voice. I love when he or she does this. But as time passes, your thoughts, be it yours or someone else's, they start to dictate what it is that you're feeling, you're thinking. Now, with that being said, after the first week of me helping them realize how negative they've been thinking about their spouse, not even paying attention to it, the next step is, okay, now what I need you to do is I want you to replace the negative thoughts with what you would prefer to see with your eyes. So change your thought, intercept your thought, and put in a positive or nice thought. One thing I say about my wife all the time, every single day, is she is the sexiest woman in the world to me. I say it all the time, and I'm intentional about it, and my eyes match what it is that I'm saying. Because I always say that and think to myself that, and I've had people say, what you trying to Jedi mind trick me? Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do. Jedi mind trick yourself, because that's what you did at the beginning of the relationship. You said things to yourself that made you see certain things. So now that you realize you're saying bad things to yourself that'll make you see negative things, I need you to say nice things to yourself so that you can see positive things. It's really that simple. It feels awkward at first, but what you're doing is you're shifting your mind's eye back to what your preference is. And now, how I can prove this to be true is typically when those who have sex and sex is the issue, sex was great at the beginning. Nothing changed.
Yeah, usually
How in the world did the sex get bad? How is that possible? Because you started saying things about the sex that made it worse than what it was, because you were saying great things about the sex in your mind, again, not out loud, when you were having sex. Also, there's more depth to it, but your thought process and what you're saying is actually contributing to your experience. Sex is more mental than it is physical. And again, we just proved that by proving that the sex did not change. So how was it great at the beginning and now it's bad? Something happened. Clearly the exchange didn't change, but something about your mind's perspective about the person did change. So I say all that to say, you need to pause. When you are in emotion, again, we say it all the time, you need to analyze that emotion, figure out where it came from, and then from there, say that. Now, be mindful what you said. You said, I'm thinking about this cat. I love this. The animal, she had no, or I don't know if it's a boy cat or a girl cat. She had no, she doesn't know. She's very innocent, and my dogs are innocent in their breed. If they would have attacked her, they had the right and they had the instincts to do it.
It would have killed her.
So with you knowing that out loud, I didn't give you guidance. What could you have said differently?
Well, now I feel like kind of an idiot.
That's not the point.
Let me vocalize three things here.
Yeah.
Three things here. One, before I go with the cat, you done pissed me off about your wife. So I'm going to go there. The second thing is about the cat, and the third thing is what I could have done differently. I'll start with the third. If I knew what I could have said differently, I wouldn't be asking this question. So there's that one thing. backing off to the wife now. You say to yourself every day that your wife is the sexiest woman to you ever. I will point out to you that most people, you're a man, but most people don't do that. So I think you're taking credit because of who you are. So I got an issue with that. And then to start with, about the cat, what could I have done differently? She was going to die. I don't know what I could have done differently. What I was asking is, was there a way that I could have done that better? But she was absolutely
So that's my
going to
real
die.
question.
Those are my
Is there
two
a way that you could
responses.
have done it better with the with your thought process? What was the intent behind your frustration? What was the intent?
I was afraid
Okay.
for the cat's life, and I
Okay.
care about
So
this
could
cat.
you have said that?
Yeah, I guess I could have. I didn't.
If that's
Yeah,
your
I could
real
have.
intent, if
I
it's coming from a loving place, why would that not be your text? Hey, this cat could truly die. Not to mention, I really want you to process this. What's going to make their, because whatever they did that allowed for the cat to leave or get out of the house, I promise you it was a habitual thing. Be it they left the door mistakenly open. I don't know.
This was an accident. I will clarify. This was a
Yeah,
complete accident.
so it wasn't intentional. So be mindful. It wasn't intentional, yet they got spoken to as if it was.
Yes, they did.
That's one thing.
Yeah,
Two,
can do it
what
up
is
close.
going to shift a pattern or a reflex more than a story behind why you want something to change? And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Oftentimes, people will just say, "Hey, don't touch me like that," to their mate or their spouse or whatever, or "Don't talk to me like that" to their mate or their spouse or whatever. Now, mind you,
Yeah,
this person has chosen you with the mindset of "I love you."
right.
So, be it a touch or be it a spoken word, it was from a place of love to them, which means it was a reflex. Now, the only way that you can shift a reflexive love gesture is to give a story that will make them question what they're doing. So let's take that same thing. Don't touch me. Don't touch me like that. Which is going to be hard for someone who reflexively touches someone that they love like that.
Like
Now,
you. Yeah.
let's take that same thing and say, hey, don't touch me like that because the last guy that touched me like that, he raped me.
Shit.
Now, would that be something that's going to help that person stop touching you like that because you've given them the backstory and rationale behind it? Even though it's a reflex, it'd be harder. I mean, it'd be easier for them to stop because they know that that triggers something that's really, really bad for you. Which one is going to help break the habit? The explanation or just saying don't do it?
Well, that example that you're giving, and it is an extreme example.
Yeah.
If a person says, "Don't touch me like that," because the last guy raped me, uh, in my mind, I was going to, okay, but then if I'm in love with the person that says that, how am I supposed to touch him then? How am I supposed to know?
It's the difference between
Kind
don't
of
touch
not
me at all
fair.
versus don't touch me like that. Like that
Okay,
specifies a
got it.
specific type of touch.
Okay, got it. Okay. So you're still saying somebody in that position, when the blood is boiling, that's what we started this with, is can say that, but the other person can learn to, okay, not like that, but then what do I do? Is that what you're saying?
Say again?
I started this conversation with saying, how do we communicate when the blood is boiling?
You don't. My
You
answer to
gave
that
an
is don't.
You don't. And then we went to, and rightfully so, for example, if there is a relationship where a person says, "Don't touch me like that,"
Mm-hmm.
because bad thing
Mm-hmm.
happened. In my mind, I went to, well, then how am I supposed to touch you at all? You're indicating that, well, the work is to figure out, define touch. I think that's what you're
Well,
saying.
yeah. So
Is that what
whenever
you're saying?
if I say go get that, I'm specifying something. So if I say don't touch me
Right.
like that, I'm specifying a certain kind of touch. I didn't say don't touch
Got it.
me. I said don't touch me like that.
Got it.
Don't talk to me like that. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What is does that mean? Don't talk to me? Does that mean become a mute? No, that means it's something about how you just approached me or came to me or attacked me in my mind that triggered something. So I need
Mm.
to identify what that is so I don't do that anymore. But if you give the context behind what that is, it makes a habit easier to pivot from more than it would be for you to just say, don't talk to me like that. Because what they did was habitual. It was something that's a habit. It's something that they feel that this is what loving looks like. And the crazy thing about it, even with abuse, because they might have been
I'm gonna need you to
raised,
walk me through
they might
that
have
one.
been raised watching their mom or dad smacking each other. And they interpreted all their life that this is what love looks like. So when I get in a relationship, this is how I'm supposed to express myself. They have to be taught something totally different. This is why I make statements like, do not stay together for the kids. Please don't stay together for the kids. Because if you're staying together for the kids, what you're telling them is the relationship that we have is the relationship you should be looking for. Because the household, is normalcy to any child. That's what they conclude is normal. So they're going to look for that sense of normalcy when they date and when they get their own relationship. It's not a good representation. So if it's not a good representation, don't stay in it until it can be good representation. Now, and I stress that because I never said that y'all need to get divorced. I said y'all need to separate. You can separate and figure it out and come back together when it is a time where you all will represent relationships properly.
Well, I want to go back to then
Yeah,
what you just
let's do it.
said goes back to you told me right now, just now, a few minutes ago, you said, and I am mindful about telling myself every day that my wife is the
Mm,
sexiest woman in the world
yeah,
to
yeah.
me. You said you say that
Every
every
day.
day. Now, brother, let me tell you this. You are aware, and I started this podcast with this, but you're aware of more, that I have had a day. I am looking to fight someone. I got energy, right? I got a mood. I'm an animal lover. You are well aware of how I feel about the particular people
Yeah.
involved in this. So you know that this was a exceptionally stressful day. The fact that you said that shit to me, and that was some shit right there. You're telling me I'm the kind of guy that says my wife is the sexiest woman alive to me. I know you know that most people don't do
Yes,
that.
sir.
So you said that in this podcast, and what people that are listening will be like, must be nice for Zanetta to be married to him, but I ain't married to him. I ain't in a relationship with him. How are the people going to live up to that standard? What you're doing is not normal. How are they supposed to do that?
Well, that's the whole premise of this podcast to make things that seem not normal normalcy. That's why we're teaching and doing what it is that we're doing. And I also shared why I do that because I'm training my mind's eye to see my wife as the sexiest woman in the world. And if I want that, I have to practice telling myself that so that I will always see that. Otherwise, other thoughts will get in and that will ruin. You think all right, this is what I love about the I'm glad we're having this conversation. The the
Me too,
simulation.
brother.
Every single experience, every card that makes you say ouch was a product of me having to say ouch to myself. If you read a card that says that this person cheated, it's because I've done it. If you read the card that says you were cheated on and this is how you need to pay attention to it, look at it, is because I was cheated on.
Brother, have you
Yes,
cheated?
I sure have.
Have you been
And I've been cheated on.
on your wife? Have you been
Yes,
cheated on?
there's nothing on that game that you experience that I did not go through. All you're doing when playing that simulation is looking at my entire process of me troubleshooting what was causing issues in my marriage. So when I go ahead.
So, when you say a statement like, I say this every day about my wife, you're intending for me and people like me to hear this not from a preaching standpoint, but from a I have been there standpoint.
I will not teach it unless I've been through it and I have proof and evidence of getting out of it or getting past it. That's why I'm speaking from my voice. I'm speaking from my experiences. When I just said, look at, oh my gosh, she's not wearing her panties, the colors and stuff. I thought those thoughts. I had those things, and I got when I was looking at like, oh, she used to do this, she used to do that. That's what I thought. So when I learned that, oh my gosh, it's my thoughts that are causing my mind's eye to be that, I had to change my thoughts. So now I'm intentional because I know better. Because I understand what's happening. I understand the mind and how that works and how it can pivot. It actually gets you to think something that's really not truth to you. I'm aware as how your thoughts will influence your emotions and cause you to have that response. Now, my cheating was worse than I think physical cheating. I didn't physically cheat, but mine was emotional. I fell in love with someone. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
and I was ready to give it up.
Tell me, brother, I gotta make this part clear because you and I have had so many conversations personally. I want to make this clear in this environment. You're telling me that while you were married to your wife, you fell in love with somebody else. I know that you and I have had conversations.
While she was pregnant with my daughter.
While she was pregnant with your daughter. So you fell in love with somebody else, another woman, while the mother of your unborn daughter hadn't even given birth yet. So let me also, on this one, here's what I'm hearing here as a woman who has been with my husband for 24 years. What I'm hearing is, I don't want him to cheat at all. But actually, I got a certain set of expectations from a man. To me, it would actually make more sense if my husband was just fucking around, literally fucking other people. But if he said to me he had an emotional relationship with another woman, I don't know how to get by that. So that's what you're telling me. That's what you experienced with you and your wife. That's what you're saying.
Yes. I don't know how else to say it. Yes.
Fair enough. And then how did you guys, so it makes sense now to jump a little bit. When I said, how do you communicate when the blood is boiling? You say you don't. Now we're going on this one. How did you get through that? How did you even?
How did I get through it? I'm the one that cheated on her.
Find out. How did she get through it? How did she even find out? How does she even know?
Oh.
Or does she know?
No, she does know. Through the text messaging. Okay. Through the text message.
Did she find them?
Yes.
And then what happened? Did she confront you? Like, what is it about? Like, how did that happen?
Oh yeah. Well, so the first time she did, and this was literally my response. I told you I need reassurance.
That was your response? You put it on her? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So because she didn't give you reassurance, she was here.
Because I had low self-esteem. Because I had so don't get caught up in where I've been.
I get it.
Let's speak from where I am. So yes, I had low self-esteem. I had insecurities. I had a whole bunch and I literally, now mind you, listen again, see, we get focused on one thing. I said if I'm able to say I told you I had insecurities, that means I actually threw out SOSs. Right or wrong. Otherwise, how can I point to that if I never said it?
You were actually communicating in the way that you could.
That's exactly right. So now, that's not to make me a victim, but there's cards in that game that speaks to it. So I distinctly remember a guy asking me, he said, how is it I cheated in the game and I got in trouble or I got sent back to single and now I got cheated on in the game and I'm getting sent back to single and I was the problem. Well, my question to you is, if someone is consistently coming to you and they're approaching you and they want you, your spouse, be it husband or wife, and they're always throwing themselves at you and you always reject them, and then someone else gives them attention. Now, it's terrible that you cheated, but do you understand why they cheated?
I personally do understand.
That's
I'm
my
not going to
point.
speak for the listeners, but I get it.
It doesn't make it right, but you can understand. So,
But it is what it makes it. It makes it is. It makes it is what it is.
it is.
That's what I'm going with that.
And that's the kind of things that we need, and that's how the game is set up. That you need to be mindful. Yes, you got cheated on, and yes, that's terrible. But did you do everything that you could have to prevent that from happening? Did you contribute?
Listen, brother,
did you
we
push that person?
We are aware that in society, we, not you and me, as a society, do not discuss the cheated on what they should have, could have done. We don't discuss that as a society because they are victims. They got cheated on. It's the worst thing that can happen in a relationship. I know damn well you and I are both aware of how that goes down. What you're saying is, actually, it don't gotta be that way.
It doesn't. So again, this is not to deflect. This is not to say that she was wrong. It was all me. It was all me. But at the same token, because I was who I was, being insecure, low self-esteem, and what have you. And again, I'm always been a straight shooter. That's one thing about me. The good me and the terrible.
I know that's
and the
true.
once terrible me. There's never any ambiguity as to what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. And at that time, I literally was doing things with hopes to get caught, to get left, so that I wouldn't have to be the one to leave. That's the dark place that we were in on both ends. So I say all that to say, don't get so caught up in thinking that things are so easily understood or identifying. Oh my gosh, so you were, no, it doesn't work that way. That's why you should not make decisions, speak, or do anything when you're in emotion. You need to step back, take a deep breath, and really look at the whole thing before you make a conclusion about how to move forward.
What I'm hearing is when the blood is boiling, like what you're saying is, that is not when you decide to communicate fairly. It's not then. You just said, take a step back, reevaluate.
Exactly. And that's what I meant when I said, what could you have said? I mean, you claimed the dogs could have destroyed the cat. They didn't. When they sent the text, they had not done it. The cat's in the tree. The dogs can't climb the tree. You can say, hey, I'm concerned for your cat. Now let's take another thing that you said. You said you really care about these people. And I know that you care for these people. But you gave them an ultimatum. Get the cat fixed or be on the street. Is that a good?
Let me make that part clear because I'm going to read it one more time. On that part, here's what I said. I said, and I quote, I am done with finding it cute that neither of you can keep her indoors. This has been a pattern. I said, get rid of the cat or find another apartment if you can't figure out how to be responsible pet owners. So I did give an ultimatum. The ultimatum is, if you can't be responsible pet owners, then you can't live here. I said that. I meant what I said because I also know and love these two. I know they want to be responsible pet owners. But having said that to you, no, I meant what I said. If they choose to not be responsible pet owners, they can't rent here. And that is where I am on that one.
That's fair.
Where were you going with that?
So that means the next time the cat slips out, which you already stated that it was a mistake, they got to go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm probably being a dick.
I mean, this
has been going on for a year. I got 2 dominant breed dogs. This cat is not the first time this cat has been endangered. Yeah, I meant that. I meant that. Brother, help me.
It's nothing.
Help me be a better person.
Hey,
I'm actually being honest here.
Hold on.
You know?
If that is what your truth is, that's your truth.
Yes, it is.
You are the renter, right?
I am the
landlord. Yes, you're the landlord, not renter. Well, I meant when I said renter, you're the person that's providing the rent.
Yeah. Oh, I'm providing.
So you're the landlord. Yes, if that's how you run your ship, that's how you run your ship. Now, the only problem with that is, to me, You just said
Help me be a better person.
you just said this has been going on for years.
1 year. I
Okay,
said
for
1 year.
1 year. Any habit for a year, is it easy to break? Now, if you would have nipped it in the bud in the beginning, it might be easier. But now it's like, yo, one and done. Okay. But again, so if that's how you run your ship, that's how you run your ship. And you don't want anything to happen to the cat. That's fair. But at the same token, if something happens to the cat, see, that's the thing about me. I give warnings. I give your warnings, and that's probably why that came off so cold when you heard me say, I told you I need reassurance. I give warnings because after I give a warning, what I do after that, I'm okay with it because you made a decision, just like you wrote. You said if you cannot be responsible for your whatever, then you got to find somewhere else to
Gotta
go.
go.
I'm that way. But I made it clear to the person, and I love how you have it in black and white via text or green and white, whatever your text allows for it to be. But it's a place where you can point to and say, hey, this is what I said, this is what I meant. Sorry, did I cause you to transition or did you cause you to transition? And then they're stuck with having to say, that's what I did it because I did not keep up on my end of the bargain, and then we pivot and we transition. So
Well, here's where I am with this. This was, and I love that you're going down the road of you gave a one. You said I needed reassurance. You've been saying that. This is their first and only time I've communicated like this about this cat. This is their first heads up. This is not a warning. This is actually a promise. This is a if then else statement for me. From their standpoint, I suppose one could say, well, this is new. This is out of the blue. It's been a year. So yeah, I'm actually saying this is the consequence now. I suppose what I expected was that you, because you got such a giant heart, I really expected you to come down on me a little more. Like I assigned to you that you would say, well, the other things you said to them leading to a year up could have been more effective. You could have communicated better. But you're not saying that. What you're saying is you've been there and you understand where I'm coming from, which kind of takes me by surprise.
well,
Does
not
that
not,
make
not as
sense?
fair. So a couple things. I did share how you should have responded or handled it. And you still have not really identified and adopted that yet because you still have yet to give them what's necessary for them to be able to break habit. You still have not expressed with us, I mean, with to them, what you've expressed to us. My reason and rationale is because I love this cat. All you said was my dog will tear this effing cat up and whatever. You still have yet to give them the opportunity to break what's been a year habit because of the passion from where your text is coming from. So that is what I'm really saying, or I've really said numerous times. As to that's where we went to the whole thing about I've been raped. Don't touch me like that. We've gone so far as to the whole, and that's where I fell short when I said I need reassurance. That's not giving a story. That's not saying I've been rejected by my father, my mother did not protect me, my whatever. So these things that I'm getting from this woman that are opposite to you are what I'm kind of gravitating towards because this is what she's doing and I'm falling for that. Why can't you be more like that? When, in all honesty, that's not my wife's responsibility. It's not my wife's responsibility for me to be proud of myself, love myself, and find that what I'm doing is of value. That's not her responsibility. Now, it would be nice, or it is nice to hear, but to depend on that, for one, dang, she got other stuff she got to do. Now she got to add this to her list, like again, which
I
is
relate
why
to
the landing
that.
space,
She got
which
a
is
life.
why the landing space that says you expect. I mean, you think that your happiness is your spouse's or your partner's responsibility. I think you lose a turn or two when you land on that landing space
Yeah.
because it's not.
Yeah.
Your happiness is your responsibility. Matter of fact, the mere fact that you're in a predicament where you're seeking happiness from someone else means you're coming from a place that you're not happy, which means you're not even providing yourself with happiness. So, how can you expect someone else to give you something that you have not mastered given to yourself? So, you've already made an impossible for someone else because you can't even tell them how to do it because you haven't even mastered it yet because you're not happy. So how can they make you happy when you haven't figured out how to do it? And you're giving all that responsibility on someone else. So we do it. We typically do it. Again, if I make it someone else's problem, then I don't have to fix it. But if I own it, then I have to do the work to get myself to where I am. And we typically shy away from that. We'll say it's the government. We'll say it's our partner. We'll say it's
It was
religion.
the
We'll say
aliens, it was grandma,
yeah,
it was the uncle.
it's my mother wasn't there, my father wasn't there. It's all these things that prevent us from
There was
doing
that
the
one
work.
teacher one time.
There you
Yeah.
go. And that was the type of person that I was being out.
Okay. So you've indicated that you've very clearly said to me what I should have said that I didn't do. Clearly, I
You
am.
are. You paused on me.
Oh,
You paused on
oh,
me. I'm sorry. You
shoot.
said I said I made
Can
it
you hear
clear
me?
that yeah, I can
Can you
now.
hear me?
I can now.
Okay. So you've made it clear what I should have said. And then I also indicated clearly I am a slow learner on this one. So, what I think I hear you saying is what I could have said if I took a step back
Yeah.
was, listen, I have babysitted this cat for you. I have fed her, I have played with her, I'm emotionally invested in her. I was concerned for her life. I was scared for her. I didn't say any of that stuff, but that's the stuff you're telling me I could have said.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And no, sir,
Yes,
I did
ma'am.
not say any of that stuff. I didn't say any of that stuff.
I'm fully aware. Now, the irony is we're talking about no love. And
Mm,
what's the irony when you move from emotion? Again, I just shared earlier. I said the opposite of those things, kind, all those are emotional, and that's the opposite of love. And what you did was you spoke from emotion, which is the opposite of love, and it seems really dark and hateful when you read those words. Like, listen to what you said earlier. You said, "I'm kind of ashamed to read these
yeah.
words, but this is
Yeah.
what I said." So when
Yeah.
that person is reading that, again, though it came from a good place, it came from a
Mm,
loving place. They have no idea that it came from a loving place. They have no idea because we didn't take the time to gather our thoughts, share the intent behind what we're feeling right now. Because again, emotions are not a bad thing, they're a great indicator. You are a fighter and an advocate for animals. So that's what
mm,
you're talking about. You're texting from a defensive standpoint from that
mm-hmm.
baby cat
Yep. Yeah.
that I've
Yeah.
adopted as mine. But what you've done, for one, shame will destroy a person.
I gotta fix this.
It's okay.
You know how
Shame
much I love these people.
to move from a place of that is a hard place when you are in a place of shame. Oh my gosh. So again, we just had and I love this show because we went from at the beginning, you were like, if I knew what to say, I wouldn't be asking you what to say. Now we didn't edit or anything. You realized what to say through us going through this process of what's going on. And don't beat yourself up. And stop thinking that love is something that comes down on people. It's not. It's not. And that's what you said. You're kind of almost, you pretty much said, I'm kind of disappointed. I expected you to tell me you shouldn't have said this. You should have did this. That's not how love works. Love will cover you. It will help you and guide you to help you see a different way. It should not feel bad. It should not feel painful. Now, again, you might read the cards that are from a loving place and you might beat up on you. That's called conviction. You've been convicted in your spirit to say, dang, I kind of went about that wrong. And now you have an opportunity for pivoting. But love should not hurt. It shouldn't be painful at all. Um, Now there's growing pains. You should not be able to fit your baby clothes. so so you should not so you should be uncomfortable not wearing the same clothes that you were wearing as a mental baby. If you're growing, so you will feel that, but it should not be painful because of what I said to you in a piercing way or negative. It shouldn't be like that.
So I'm just processing.
No, take your time.
Yeah, it seems to me then what you're saying is then, with this situation or a situation like this, where somebody in a relationship, friendship or otherwise,
Yeah.
uh, can react and then, and then come back. Um, well, okay, I gotta go back to this. You are aware of how I feel about these people. Um, and because the listeners wouldn't necessarily be aware, let me make this clear. These are the kind of friends that are family to me.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, especially Ryan, who I do have permission to share this stuff with. Like Ryan is a brother to me.
Yeah.
Like a kid brother that I would protect. I would die to protect him.
That's right.
And he got those texts. He's the one that got those texts. It was from my husband and his wife, and I did that quite deliberately. I was thinking about the cat. And I am also aware, before I move on, that there might be some people that are like, it's just a cat. You get it? I'm saying that from somebody like me who isn't such an animal lover, it's different. It'd be like Edward, brother, if you were to say, I let my 3-year-old toddler, I left her alone in the house and I went to work. I didn't know she got out and now she's on the highway. Like, it would be that absurd what happened this morning. So I said that to share this. What I'm hearing now, if I was going to act in love, in the Edward Fairley way, is I get to, not that I have to, I get to go back to these two individuals and indicate, actually, it is because of a fierce love for you two and this animal that I was actually terrified, not just for the animal, but because of you two. And now that I'm really thinking about this, Edward, you are right on something. You helped me realize something. In my mind, I saw this pet's death right before my eyes. I know what my dogs are capable of. It would have been awful. And I also saw the phone call that I would have to make to these two.
Wow.
And inform them that their child
was
ripped apart
that part.
by my children.
That's what needs to be
I didn't
shared.
share that.
Can they see their cat ravaged?
Yeah.
Can you envision that? That's where I'm coming from. I need y'all to see that.
I didn't share that.
That is what will cause someone to change, for you to share with your eyes what could pop. Like, they would not want that. Can you imagine how they would feel guilty for their mistake because of that? That is what will allow for change. Like, hey, I got to make sure that, hey, where's the cat at? Okay, I see the cat. Let me close the door or close the window. I don't know how the cat got out, but that kind of thought process, planting that kind of anchor of a thought inside of a mind, will assist in shifting a behavior that is a year's worth of natural. for someone.
Wow, that is so helpful. I did not think about that. I reacted. I was pissed. But actually, we're talking about now. That's what I want to share. That's what the intention was. That's where my love is.
Yeah.
I didn't have the language for that until you and I just talked about it.
Now, to tie in something that we talked about earlier, you learned that response from somewhere. That is what needs to be investigated. We don't need to unpack that on the show, but that really needs to be, if that is your go-to response, you learned that from somewhere. That goes right back to where I said, even if they were abused, even if they were
You mean the you fucked up response? Is that what you're saying I learned?
No, even remember when I said, even if they're abusive, they think that that's what love is, because they saw it somewhere. They saw it and they learned it. So I'm pretty confident it came from an upbringing, disciplinary situation where you knew that mom or dad or whoever, again, you learned it from, were coming from a good place, but they didn't take the time to express the loving place that it was really coming from, which is what you have the opportunity to do, which assists in pivoting and changing. I can almost guarantee if you take the time to go back to that place that you understand. I bet you didn't understand it then. And that's what sucked about the process.
What I find interesting is I was going to interrupt you and say, well, I think it's cute that you thought how I learned that was from a loving situation.
Exactly.
But then you said the rest of it, I was like, now I gotta figure out what the situation was. God, no love is a lot of work. Brother, have I told you? I know I've told you, but have I told you lately? No love is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's actually, it's kind of not fun most of the time.
That's well
Have you
said.
been given that feedback?
No. Well said. Yes. But I'll respond to it like this. Everything that you start is a lot of work till it becomes a habit. For example, I have a daily exercise regimen. When I first started the daily exercise regimen, it took me about 25 minutes. Okay. Now I've increased the numbers in that regimen because of how long I've been doing it, up to about 10 more reps or what have you, not reps, but 10 more in the count of each respective regimen. But that same 25 minutes is now 4 minutes.
Wait. You took a 25 minutes exercise regimen down to 4 minutes a day?
Because of how easy it is for me to do that same amount now, because I've grown strength in exercising that muscle. So what you're saying is I'm working out new weak muscles and it's hard right now. But once it becomes habit and just something that you do, it's not going to be hard. So it was hard when you learned how to tie your shoes when you were a kid. It was hard for you to wash your body. All of those things. It was hard to learn how to drive. We know that conversation. With my daughter learning how to drive. It's hard. It was hard to drive. But now you do it without thinking. So if it's worth you putting in the effort, I can assure you, again, it's habit for me to say how sexy my wife is. It took work at first, but now, so it's a habit for me to do this love thing. It took a lot of work. It took all of the work that you're seeing on that simulation or through that simulation in order for me to get the friendship that I have, the loving relationships that I have. But it's not hard work anymore. It's just who I've become. And everything that you are now is something that you became through practice. So if you practice at it, it won't be hard anymore. And that's what we're doing. And that's why I love this whole podcast, the concept. For one, we're giving people stuff that goes against the grain of what they've been taught.
Oh, it sure does.
But because you're exposed to it, now you have another way of thinking, and you can't unhear and you can't unsee what you've seen, which is why I'm adamant that we are exposing the world to this, because once you get this superpower called love, unstoppable. You are unstoppable.
Well, let me ask you this. So, we'll rewind a little bit. So you made a decision. You told yourself something every day about your wife. You chose to say, my wife is the sexiest woman in the world to me.
Yes.
You chose to say that. Why that phrase? You could have chosen anything. You could have said, my wife is the smartest woman in the world. My wife is the most pragmatic, is the most efficient, the most fiscally responsible. Why'd you choose that to say? What did that mean to you?
That's a great question. The answer to that is because that is a thing that snuck into my marriage that I had to combat. Other things didn't. Nothing happened that made me say my wife is not smart. My wife is not a great mother. My wife is not a great
wait,
mother.
So you were trying to, I'm sorry, I know
No, you're fine.
Now I'm excited. So yeah, so you were dealing with, you never, what I'm hearing you say at that point in your life was intelligence, fiscal responsibility, maybe even household duties, whatever, cooking. There was no other problem you had with your wife that you had to deal with. You were dealing with threats.
Of attraction,
For
sexiness,
sexual,
yeah,
for attraction.
And I
Attraction.
think that was
Okay,
more
attraction.
so fed by me to try to get to a place where I'm fine if she leaves. Remember, I was literally indirectly trying to sabotage my relationship. I, I don't want to say everyone, but I think there's people that will understand when when you've been in a relationship and you want it to be over, but you feel bad ending it.
Gotta let the other person say it.
so, so
Yeah.
so you'll try to do stuff that will allow for them to say it so that you don't feel bad that
It's gonna meander off.
yeah
They broke up with
it
you. There's nothing you do about it.
exactly. So that's
Yeah.
honestly that's where I was in my marriage. So
Oh, but she fucked up because she wasn't willing to leave you. You
no,
thought she was
we
gonna, but she
both were
didn't.
ready to throw in the towel. We
No fuck.
when I got the revelation that maybe I should troubleshoot my marriage, I literally was at one of my frat brothers' houses on the couch thinking that we were done with each other. Yeah, my wife was pregnant or whatever. We were done with each other. We were done. Because that was the second
To be clear
time.
here, then, did your wife know that she was done? Was your wife facing giving birth to a child without the child's father around? Your wife was also facing this too. Is that what she knew?
Yeah, pretty much. That's where we
Okay.
were.
All right.
We were
Fair enough.
done.
Please carry on. Yeah.
And
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
so yeah, I began to troubleshoot how to fix and resolve my marriage. And
I
good.
just, I'm listening, but I'm just, I guess for the first time, in my mind, I don't want to breach any I don't want to like overspeak or anything, but I'm kind of feeling, I'm tapping to Zanetta, at that point, very pregnant, not speaking to you as my brother, but, as a man,
Good.
but I imagine for her, that must have been scary, yes, but I imagine for her, it must have been a resolve. Fine, I didn't plan it like this, but if I have to, I'll raise this child with him.
It's not
That's cool.
child, it's children. Because that was
Mm.
my daughter's our second child. We have three children.
I can just imagine from her standpoint, I don't know that I can speak for her on this. In fact, I'm not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
trying to, but I know from my standpoint, as a non mother, but as a woman, that must have been quite a moment for her because you were at your frat brothers and talking with your boys. I imagine for her, I imagine life got real clear for her at that point. He's going to be around or he's
Hmm.
not. But these kids need a mama.
I think if
I
I
imagine
don't
she had
know
to
if
have some kind of grit
now I
somewhere.
can't recall if she told me to leave or I left. I'm pretty
Mm.
sure she told me to leave, and that's why I ended up at my
If she told you to leave and she was facing that, you must have been in some kind of certain way that it got that bad she had to tell you to
yeah.
leave. That's only what
Yeah,
I'm
actually, I
imagining,
mean, she did.
you
She
know?
told me to leave because, again, remember I told you this the headspace I was in. I was hoping like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the moment. She's gonna she's
Mm.
gonna dismiss me,
Yeah.
and it's
Mm.
really over now. I'll have that as an excuse so I can pivot and transition. Now, the thought of that and saying that out
Yeah.
loud, it's probably gonna bring me to tears if I keep speaking about it. But because what if we didn't make it to the other side of this?
What if he didn't make it? That's where I'm going. I feel like this woman was prepared that you wouldn't have made it. I feel like she made that decision. She took the action she did because she was already seeing the other side if he didn't make it. And the fact that you came back around, I imagine to her, was quite an unexpected bonus. She didn't see that one coming.
Mm. We'll never know.
We'll
And I'm
never know.
glad to say we will
We'll never
never
know.
know.
Yeah.
But
And
at
me
the
too.
same
Me
token,
too.
this is how
Yeah.
God works.
Yeah. Mm.
If I did not go through the dark side along with the good side, I would not be able to speak from the dark side. I would not be able to contribute a solution from the dark side. That's why I have the cards where the person they stop cheating and they had they're like, okay, well now he or she needs to get over it. It's been several months, it's been a year now. Why she keep on whatever? Well, no.
Move
Exactly.
on.
Well, no.
Yeah.
How is it her fault or his fault that you cheated? Whatever it takes. If I need to have an unlocked phone, if I need to leave my phone around, if she needs to have all of the actual passwords, whatever it takes for her to understand that this is not what I'm doing, I don't care how long that is. If this is what you need to be reassured, like I needed reassurance, so now isn't that interesting? First, I needed reassurance.
Isn't it?
So now I gotta
Well,
be the
now.
reassurance because I robbed her
Yeah.
of the ability to feel confident and whatever. So it was work. It was work. It was work.
So we're back to, and I think I can carry us into wrapping this up for this episode. We're back to my original question to you on this episode was how does one communicate when the blood is boiling? You said you don't. Now, giving the context that you've provided in this and the walk that you've taken with your wife, and somebody like me in this situation today, what I hear you saying is you don't. When your blood is boiling, you don't have a communication. What I also hear you saying is, and you can come back. You can then recenter and actually communicate. And it's not too late to do so. In fact, what I'm hearing you saying is now it is your responsibility to invite that conversation. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah. Well said. Well certain. Yeah. Yeah.
And clearly you have done so with your wife. You guys have been together for 3,000 years now.
Yeah. We've been together for now. Whew, we've been married for 20 years. Man, together 23, something like that. Something in those numbers. But I know how long we've been married, of course. But yeah, 23 years we've been together, 20 years we've been married. And that is my best friend. And she is the sexiest woman in the world. And I can't get enough of that woman. And I'm worrisome when it comes to that woman because she's so sexy to me. She just is.
Well,
But
let me also underscore this part, because there's so many reasons that you and I are friends. And my husband and I together as long as you and your wife, 24 years together this year, 20 years of marriage together in October. And you have been very mindful about your relationship and you created No Love and the simulator. I have not been that person, but I can tell you that I am in alignment with you on this one. Just this one thing that while I don't, in fact, most of the time I don't have the right words to say, I have found in my experience with my husband that if I do come back and say, okay, I know what I said. In my case, I also have to clarify. I actually did mean what I said.
yeah.
So I'm not the person that
The
says
intent.
things in anger. It doesn't mean no. I meant what I said
The intent.
because that's how I felt at that time, and it's probably still how I feel now. But in addition to that, I would like you to have this additional context. Where you helped me today, and hopefully the listeners, is how to have that kind of communication with a friend, not with a spouse.
That's good.
And
That's
actually
good.
matters just as much, doesn't it? It matters just as much.
Actually, the irony in that is I don't think that they should be separate. How can your spouse not be
Yeah.
your friend? And so if I'm
Yeah.
speaking to my friend, this is how I should communicate. And if I'm speaking through love, this is how I should always communicate.
Wait a minute, that's a good point. If somebody's asking for advice about their husband or wife or significant other,
Yeah.
yeah, why should we separate friends from that's the most important really. You chose to be a partner with this person for your life, so maybe it's actually more important that you treat him as a friend.
This is why I stress the be do have thought process.
Yeah.
Because if this is who I've become, if this is my being, I don't have to think of, oh, do I turn on respect now or do I turn it off now? If I am a being who respects all beings, then I don't have to worry about is he or she young enough for me to be, or is he old enough for me to say, sir? Is she old? Like, that's too much for me. If I become this being, then I am moving in this essence and I don't have to turn it on or off. This is just who I am. So I don't have to filter myself because I'm already filtered through the lens of love. It makes life easier for me.
I love it. Well, brother, I'm full on this topic. I feel fed. I feel as though I have represented the listeners that are like me, that have been fed. What are your last thoughts on this topic?
My last thoughts are thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable, and thank you for being transparent, and thank you for being open to hear and see yourself. I did not give you anything. All I did was show you you. And again, if we rewind and look back, you came up with your own words that you could have said. I did not guide you or whatever. I did give you a formula that you could use, but your words were still the essence of you. I didn't change you. I didn't suggest change of you. All of it came from you because you already have love within you. And we all do. And it is my job or my intention to assist in us seeing the love that we already have in us and also showing how powerful it is and how much it's a superpower. And that's it. I appreciate your minds and time, and I hope to see you all next time. Until then, y'all be safe. Take care. We love you. Peace.